Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to be discussing the highlights of this packet called Benefits for Children with Disabilities. This is a packet from the Social Security Administration, and I will put a link below so you can access it. But I'm just going to be going over different things that I found important and things that I definitely needed clarification on for the second time. So the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is supplemental security income, which is payments for children with disabilities. I will also be talking about Social Security Disability Insurance, which is SSDI, benefits for adults disabled since childhood. I'll talk a little bit about applying for SSI payments and SSDI benefits and how you can be prepared for when that happens. I'll talk a little bit about employment support programs, but that will be a different video probably. Medicaid and Medicare and the difference. Children's health insurance program, and then other healthcare services. So I'm going to go through all of this fairly quickly because it's a 14-page packet, but it's pretty dense. So we're going to get through it together. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the difference between SSI and SSDI. So SSI is supplemental security income, which is payments for children with disabilities. So SSI is what you receive if you are retired, you're 65 or older, or you are low income and have limited resources and you're 65 or older, or you have a disability. So what SSI looks like for people with disabilities is different depending on if you're under 18 or if you're over 18. So if you're under 18, you qualify for SSI, which is supplemental security income, if your family and personal income and resources are under a certain cap. So if you're someone who has income, like for example, if your child has income in some way, then that would be part of that limit. So currently, let me check the amount. So the child for SSI must not be working or earning more than $1,260 a month in 2020. And on top of that, so that's family and personal income and resources. The amount for family is different, but I think it varies from state to state, so that's why it's not listed in this federal packet. But also to receive SSI when you're under 18, you also must be qualified under the disability category. So what they say for disability category is that the child must have a medical condition or a combination of conditions that result in marked and severe functional limitations. They also list a bunch of different disabilities, and they say that, and I'll talk about the different disabilities in a little bit because that's part of how long it takes to receive SSI. But first I want to go into how you receive SSI if you're over 18. Once you're 18, it's only related to your personal income and resources. So your parents' income no longer is a part of that. And to meet the rules, they must not be working or earning more than $1,260 a month. So that qualifies them in that category. And then they also must be qualified under the adult with a disability category, which is a little bit different than I believe, a child with a disability, but the qualifications aren't really in this packet, but I think it has to do with some of the same kind of criteria, like it must be marked and severe functional limitations, but on the next page, they talk about some additional things to consider is that the condition must seriously limit the child's activities, and it must have been disabling or expected to be disabling for at least 12 months, or it's a condition that is expected to result in death. So providing information about your child's condition, once you talk to SSI, they will talk to teachers, doctors, but when you're applying for it, you bring in the medical documents that you have. So you don't have to go to your doctor and get the entire medical packet. But if you have a paper, like when you leave the doctor, that's something that can help them access your student's medical records so that they can determine if they qualify for having a disability in the Social Security system. So after you apply, you will have records like school records, different medical papers. Also, if your child's under 18, you have to bring some kind of records of like your income, your child's income, your resources. Once you have all of that together, you can send all of that to the Disability Determination Services Office and the SSI office, and they will determine if you qualify for services or if your child qualifies for services. It says usually it takes about 3 to 5 months, but some of the conditions qualify for making SSI payments right away. So you can see those in the document. Another important thing about SSI is kind of going back to this. If they don't qualify when they're under 18 because of this family piece, they may qualify once they turn 18 because it's just based on personal income. Also, for SSI, you're typically reevaluated every 3 years, even if the condition isn't expected to get better, and you're reevaluated at 18. So again, don't qualify under 18, might qualify when over 18. So please check into that to make sure that you are receiving all the benefits from the state that you deserve and your child deserves. Next, I'm going to be talking about SSDI, which is Social Security Disability Insurance, which are benefits for adults who have been disabled since childhood. So this is a different sort of program, and it is for people who are over 18 and they have a parent who receives or received SSI. That means they may be over 65 receiving Social Security, they may have a disability and are receiving Social Security, or when I say received, that means that they may be deceased, but they did receive SSI when they were alive. Also, they have to meet the disability rules for adults. So what this is when you are a child under someone who is receiving SSI, when you're under 18, no matter if you have a disability or if you don't have a disability, you as their child receive benefits when you're under 18. Once you're over 18, if you have a disability and you meet the disability rules for adults, you can still continue receiving the money under your parent through this program, SSDI. Something to note though is that marriage of the child receiving this, even though they're over 18, may affect if they can receive SSDI or not. So when you're applying for SSDI, it is a little bit different because it's receiving the child benefits. That's what they're calling it in this. So what you need to do is when you're applying for that, you bring your own Social Security number, or whoever the guardian of this person who is now an adult with a disability is. And you also bring the child's Social Security number and birth certificate. In addition, they will make a determination based on medical conditions. So like I was saying before, don't have to bring the entire medical record, but just bring as much information as you can so that that will help them get the medical record. So any copies of reports, any information that you have. Next, there's a section on employment that I'm going to talk about. There are employment supports if you receive SSI or SSDI. There is a program called PASS, and that is a support plan that is created for a work goal that you set up. It is for students who are 50 and older, and they are basically funds for a work goal. So if you know that you want to work in a grocery store, they help you kind of brainstorm what are the resources that they would need to work in this place. Do they need a job coach? Do they need adaptive equipment? And they help pay for that. So that brings us to the next point, which is the cost of necessary equipment / services. Basically, they will pay for it. They will pay for these services if you receive SSI or SSDI. And on top of that, when they pay for these services, that does not count at all towards the earned income that is based on, that the SSI qualification is based on. So if you receive SSI and you also require some equipment and services to work, then they will pay for the equipment and services. And the money that they use to pay for the equipment and services won't add to your income. So hopefully you will still qualify for SSI under the income that you have. So next I'm talking about Medicaid and Medicare. So health services related to the Social Security Administration. I'm going to talk about Medicaid first. Medicaid is for people who are designated as low income and have limited resources. And in most states, if you qualify for SSI payments, so children who get SSI payments are qualifying for Medicaid. And I know that a lot of our service providers at school bill Medicaid, which is related to that. Next is Medicare, which is for people who are 65 and older, or they can receive Medicare if you're someone who has been receiving SSI for at least 2 years. That was an interesting one. If you are not qualifying for Medicaid, there is the Children's Health Insurance Program, which is providing insurance to children from working families with incomes that are too high to qualify for Medicaid, but too low to afford private insurance. So it's for those people who are in the middle ground, which is really one wonderful thing. There are other healthcare services that are outlined in this document, but I'm going to go to the last part. Oh, also, the information in how to get more information on the Children's Health Insurance Program is in the document that is attached. So lastly, you can contact Social Security via their website, which is socialsecurity.gov. There are lots of things you can do on the website, like view your own statement, verify earnings, and also just look at more documents that are related to this topic and all of the branching out topics that I have been talking about. There's something called the Red Book, which is a list of information about when you are working and have a disability. And that is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful.